district chief executive for the area. The NDC claims that area has become a spot for the thriving illegal mining business. Listen to Sami Jemfe once more.
That she knew the identities of MMDCs who were engaged in Galamsey and was going to publish same, but that never happened. Since then, MMDCs of the Kufuor Bawumia government, who have been emboldened by this cover-up and the president's lack of commitment to the Galamsey fight, have been actively promoting illegal mining, politically, and here I'm quoting the MPP. They said he unpatriotically took 10,000 Ghana cedis from for each excavator, totaling 70,000 cedis, and shockingly released the excavators to them, unquote. No action whatsoever was taken against the DC. And you can see the Ghana Web publication on that matter. MPP executives accuse Elembele DC of engaged in illegal mining, not NDC executives, MPP executives. This is the same DC, ladies and gentlemen, who as recent as September 2022 was arrested for obstructing the police in the retrieval of missing excavators that had been seized from Galamsey sites in the area.
Well, so that's the latest twist to events tonight as the NDC is continuing what many are describing as the attack on President Akufo-Addo's fight against illegal mining, describing that as a sham. There's more from the National Communications Officer for the NDC, Sami Jemfe, who will be joining us shortly on the telephone lines now to explain what it is that the party will do going forward. But let's deal with some of the names that have come up. Kwesi Bonzo happens to be DC for Elembele. His name was specifically mentioned by the NDC as superintendent over illegal mining in the Elembele area. Fortunately, he's joining us here on Top Story. Mr. Bonzo, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
This is not new to you, knowing that the Ghana Police Service, for instance, has had cause to worry about how you've been obstructing that's how they term it. You've been obstructing their fight against illegal mining. Very recently, you caught up in some clash with the police officers in your area when you allegedly intercepted some excavators that were being moved to the national headquarters of the Ghana Police Service. So it's fair to say that indeed the NDC has evidence to make that statement boldly that you're superintending over illegal mining in your area, correct?
NDC cannot have any evidence in this matter. And this is the kind of politics, if we don't take care, will destroy our country. It is what I term as politics without principles. Sami Jemfe and his NDC party, in their haste to seek political and electoral gains through the issue of Galamsey, I thrown all manner of that into the eyes of the Ghanaian public. And that's why I think Ghanaians should come out and then condemn such display of politics without principles. Is Sami Jemfe saying that he's not aware that right after my arrest, when the police issued a statement, that after I was released, all the facts that I put out regarding my involvement in getting the excavator arrested and all that the police has not been able to contradict a single statement that I've made. That issue, a recap for the benefit of the listeners. I was then even in Accra on official assignment when I sent my team to go and arrest 2 excavators at an illegal mining site. The very day it was brought to my attention. Then we had to ask the police to watch over it while it was being transported
I
on a low bed.
I recall vividly engaging
Yes.
you a day
So
before.
for Sami Gyamfi to come back and then make him look as if that he's not aware of all these facts,
yes.
it's very disingenuous.
I was just about building my points that I recall vividly engaging you a day before you were picked up by the police service.
There's a problem I've been facing in my constituency.
Precisely. You told me at the time that as head of the District Security Council, you ordered for the interception of all these excavators. I think 2 at the time. And yet the orders you gave to the police service was that they should stay behind and watch over the excavators until 5 p.m. Right after 5 p.m., the excavators disappeared. So you agree that you failed in the performance of your duties at the time, right?
No, as a civilian, I don't have that coercive powers of the state to even cause arrest. So all that we did was to seize the excavators and then request the police to provide security over it while arrangement was being made to transport the excavators to the regional administration. And this is it. We asked them to provide security. We didn't ask them to stay behind because at that time we anticipated that just as it happened, that it was possible for the owners of the excavators to come back and take it. But I think that issue has been explained to Ghanaians over and over again, except that Sami Gyamfi wants to do mischief with it. Now, let's bring the point home. In my constituency, in my district, Alambra district, one of the biggest problems that I've faced in terms of the fight against Galamsey is a member of parliament. Recently, and that MP is an NDC MP, a 4-term NDC MP, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofo-Boa. Recently, as recent as 1st April 2022, some 23 Galamseyers were arrested. They were arraigned before court. They were fined 2,400 Ghana cedis each, which at the time we even thought was too small and would not serve as another deterrent. This was on a Friday. You cannot imagine that by Monday, the member of parliament had arranged for those sentences to be quashed, for all those people to be set free. This is a member of parliament. The same NDC member of parliament has gone to court and filed a writ against a big mining company here, Adams, on whose concession illegal miners have been doing a lot of Galamsey activities. And then, for the benefit of your listeners, I want to read his own statement of claim. And in that writ, his lawyer is Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu, who is also another MP for Medina. Now, he says that given the communal nature of small-scale mining, the member of parliament says that small-scale mining is of communal nature, and how their activities are a matter of survival by young families. Anytime people are arrested and prosecuted for illegal mining, it becomes a communal affair.
Right. So what
with
do
the youth and community showing solidarity with the arrested persons. Now the MP is in court showing solidarity with illegal miners. The same party will now come back and accuse us. So what they are doing is a double-edged sword for the government.
Okay, you feel
so
the opposition
when
party.
You arrest them, and then hide behind the legal system, get them, they go to court. This MP has actually gone to court, and I'm reading a court document, the writ of someone that was filed by the MP on the 15th of August.
You're basically accusing the NDC of setting double standards tonight. In fact,
yes.
Sami Gyamfi is on with us. I'll bring him in shortly. But Sami Gyamfi, before I bring you in, let me just deal with one more issue with the Elembele DCE. You were in that meeting with President Akufo-Addo yesterday. The NDC speaking up on that as well. They say that when it comes to double standards, we should first of all take a look at that meeting critically. The president talked about breaking the 8. In what context was the president making that statement to you?
Because you realize that the NDC had been making so much noise about illegal mining. So the president reiterated his stand against illegal mining. That instead of allowing the NDC to run amok with all kind of lies and all kind of that which they are throwing to the eyes of the public, we should work hard so that by
the president wasn't playing politics.
Our water bodies will be clean, our environment has been degraded, will have been reclaimed, and all that. And that is on that basis.
If the president,
then he says that by that time, Ghanaians would have known that the only party that is committed to fighting illegal mining is the MPP party and the government of Ghana.
Do you agree that breaking the 8 is a political statement? and that the president was clearly looking at the political cost then.
But I think you need to look at the premise on which the president gave the issue, that Ghanaians are worried. Of course, everybody's worried. When our water bodies get destroyed, we are worried. I am concerned. The reason why personally I've taken this fight against Galamsey in my district is that I'm worried that what river bodies in my district are being destroyed, that land is being devastated indiscriminately in my, and I am a voter. So the president says that Ghanaians, currently, the greatest anxiety among Ghanaians is the issue of illegal mining, and that's the effect. So we as MMDCs, as his appointees, we should work very hard, devoid of politics, and not and work very hard together with the chiefs, the police, the enforcement agencies, so that by the end of the year, if our water bodies get clean, if our environment which is being destroyed gets reclaimed, Ghanaians will know that the only party, the only government which is committed to fighting illegal mining is the MPP party. And that is on that basis, then Ghanaians will give us under 10. Instead of listening to the former president who said that, you allow MPP go and do Galamsey. When they arrest you and they imprison you, when I come to power, I will give you amnesty.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure you're getting the context right, but I guess that's your interpretation of what it is that the former president may have said. But let's put that to Sammy Gyamfi, who's also been patient with us tonight on Top Story. Sammy, so you've heard the side of the New Patriotic Party on this. They say you're simply playing politics, and that issues of Galamsey transcend successive or previous administrations as well. So we need solutions, you agree?
Of course we need solutions, and we have provided cogent proposals on how this menace can be solved. That is simple. We need the duty bearers of our country to have the political will and the commitment to fight the illegal mining menace head on, no matter whose ox is God, by punishing those who are caught to be engaging in Galamsey, so that can serve as a deterrent to others. You see, my brother, if there is anybody who is in doubt about the fact that President Akufo-Addo's much touted fight against Galamsey is a scam, the person should just listen to Mr. Kwesi Bonzo speak. He is a classical illustration of the fact that President Akufo-Addo is not serious and interested in the Galamsey fight. We are talking about a district chief executive who is a representative of the president in the Lembele area. As far back as 5th April 2020, MPP constituency executives in Lembele, I am not talking about NDC executives, I'm talking about MPP New Patriotic Party executives in Lembele, held a press conference and accused this district chief executive who is on the line for engaging in Galamsey and for taking bribes, 10,000 Ghana cedis each, which led to a total of 70,000 Ghana cedis, for the release of excavators that have been seized from certain Galamsey sites. Is Kwesi Bonzo saying that he's not aware of that? And what steps has he taken to respond to that allegation?
Sammy, he says when you bring that up, there's no case in court, or no court has actually convicted him of any of the.
But how will any court, or how could he have been convicted by a court of competent jurisdiction when he has not been arrested and arraigned before any court of competent jurisdiction? The man is being shielded by the president and officialdom. And that is why he still has the temerity to come on programs like this and talk. Because your own party constituency executives, what motive do they have to lie against you that you have taken 10,000 Ghana cedis to release his excavators?
Yes, but
Again, no, hold on. You gave him a lot of time to talk. It is only fair that you give me time to respond. Again, the Ghana Police Service, which is the body mandated to maintain law and order, says that they were able to retrieve some missing excavators that have been seized from Galamsey side. And while transporting these seized excavators, you, Kwesi Bonzo, obstructed them and sought to prevent them from transporting the excavators to the destination they were taking it to. Kwesi Bonzo says we should not believe the Ghana Police Service, but we should believe him.
I'm not sure I recall that's what he categorically stated. He says that no charges were further pressed against him.
No. He says that after his release,
yes,
none of the things he said in his account has been controverted by the police. And I'm saying that the police says that you sought to obstruct them.
But Sammy Gyamfi, you are a lawyer. You are a lawyer, so you agree that unless a court of competent jurisdiction fully
then we should not discuss Galamsey at all, because my brother, wound to me, has been found by the Minerals Commission and the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry to be engaging in illegal mining in the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. Are you going to say that because no court has convicted Wuntumi, we can't talk about that? Why, if you are an armed robber and you have not been arrested, does it mean that you are not an armed robber? What we are talking about here is that under Kwesi Bonzo, Galamsey has been thriving. Galamsey is now a free-for-all trade in Elembele. It was never the case under the previous administration. Go to his own residence, just behind his residence. They are doing illegal mining there. Take your cameras to the residence of Kwesi Bonzo and go behind his residence. They are doing illegal mining there. Go to the Nkofu Senior High School. They are doing illegal mining on the school land. As a head of DISEC, the representative of the president who claims to be fighting Galamsey, this man sits there and supervises the destruction of water bodies and the environment in the area. And he still has the temerity to come on Joy FM to talk. This is proof that this government is not serious to fight Galamsey, because if they were serious, Kwesi Bonzo should be languishing in jail by now.
On that note, the president says, he concedes that his approach towards fighting illegal mining hasn't worked in the past. Now, Maney say you have the opportunity as the opposition National Democratic Congress to collaborate with the president, who is extending that invitation to you as the NDC and all other political parties to join hands and to fight this. In fact, it goes ahead to warn any of his appointees that, this time round, you will not be, and I'm not saying that he's been shielding categorically his appointees over the period, but he's saying, I will not spare you if your name comes up. Why is the NDC failing to provide evidence to submit that to Jubilee House and to ask the president to act on all of the names that you may have in your possession, which you raised at your press conference today?
It is instructive and very interesting that, alas, President William Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has confessed and admitted that his much-touted fight against Galamsey has failed. We knew it was bound to fail. We told him, because we saw that his rhetoric of fighting against Galamsey was just an empty rhetoric, and we're going to remain a mirage. But people thought that we were doing politics when we were raising those issues. Alas, he has admitted that he has failed, and that for me is a point worth
he says
highlighting.
It has not been easy. Those are the words of the president. He says it's not been easy. He said it's not been easy. He did not say that his fight has failed.
Nobody has made it difficult for him. It's not been easy because the man is himself complicit in the Galamsey trade and shields his officials and party functionaries who engage in Galamsey. You asked me to give you evidence about allegations we are making. I'm not making any allegation. Look, Frimpong Boateng, the former Minister for Environment, was caught on tape in heated arguments with the MPP former Vice Chairperson for the Central Region, Ekua Usi, who doubled as the auctioneer for the Interministerial Committee. Okay, discussing how, in the name of Party Nyesika, to which their party needed money, gave sealed excavators to party functionaries and party officials, some of which found their way back into Galamsey sites. Till date, government has not been able to account for the over 500 excavators, gold, and other valuables seized from illegal miners when the ban on small-scale mining was enforced. President Akufo-Addo entrusted this fight to an official. And so if that official has gone to the police to lodge a complaint that the Kowawusi is the one responsible for the missing excavators, for which reason the Kowawusi was arrested, why should the president allow this matter to become a foolish case? Why hasn't the president pursued this matter? Why hasn't he commented on this matter in the least? Why hasn't he investigated this matter? Why has Ekwawusi's auctioneer license been restored to him when the missing excavators have not been retrieved? What has the Ghana Police Service, who are under his authority and control as the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, abandoned investigations into that missing excavator scandal? So clearly, the fight has not been difficult. This is not a difficult issue. He doesn't have the commitment. He is only engaging in his usual flowery speeches and rhetoric. And we are telling him that Ghanaians are tired. We are all fatigued. We have heard this over and over again. You place your presidency on the line. There is smoking gun evidence showing the complicity and involvement of top government officials and NPP functionaries in Galamsey, like Charles Bissiou. The Galamsey Force scandal documentary is there.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Your point
is let us move away from this.
Right.
Political propaganda.
We need to go. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time here on Top Story. In fact, there's more also happening, because you recall the MC for Busumi Freo has also come up in that engagement between President Akufo-Addo and his MMDCEs. Ohiming Tewia will be joining us with details on that. But take a listen to the president on that.
What happens in Ghana is that there are accusations are made against people en blanc, in gros, MMDC. I don't operate with that. I don't operate with rumors. I'm a lawyer. So I'll always be dealing with facts. So the facts are brought, you will be invited to comment on it. Your colleague in Busumi Freo, there have been public accusations about his involvement. He's been summoned by the Minister for Local Government to come and answer. Unfortunately for him, it has coincided with the death of his wife. So he has not been able to respond. But when the 1 week celebration is over, he will have to respond. And depending on the quality of his response, we will decide what the future.
Well, so that's President Akufo-Addo speaking there. More reaction has been greeting this. Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu is also asking President Akufo-Addo tonight to resign, as he says he cannot fulfill his promises of stopping illegal mining.
It's when the president says if accusations are made, I find it very laughable. One, before he came, he said he will use the ANAS principle. So from the way people are complaining over all these months, where is the ANAS principle he promised? So they will do undercover investigations. So all this while he's not aware. Number two, look, in every part of Ghana, you see the National Investigative Bureau. They have officers all over. So as you are walking around, he's also walking in the society and watching. So he knows, look, the president can't say that he's not being briefed about this thing. He's just sleeping on the job. I think, look, President Akufo-Addo, I don't know how many times we have to call on him. He just has to resign. Look, this man is just giving us too much headache. He has checked out. He should just resign. Okay, resign. That's the best thing. Because look, he's shown too clearly that he's not competent. If Galamsey, we can't fight Galamsey. Every time he's always reactive. But as I said, it's a citizenry. If we don't rise, this is the kind of leaders we get. We made a mistake by voting for him, but it's not late. We can stand up and push him out. I think Akufo-Addo should just resign. This thing has to stop. He's taking us for fools. It's just too much. You can't just disrespect the whole country. Every time you just come, kukwasa, kukwasa. What kind of thing is this?
And that's private legal practitioner Martin Pebu. Newsnight is next.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, and also on myjoyonline.com. In the next 60 minutes, local businesses and importers predict huge shortfall in goods imported into the country and surge in trading of dollars in black market, as Bank of Ghana says it failed to meet dollar demand in excess of $75 million in its latest auction.
Most of the shops are going to be closing eventually. Importation is going to be curtailed to the barest minimum.
Black market coming up with another horrible price.
Meanwhile, the possibility of IMF's $3 billion financial support featuring in the 2023 budget is in doubt, as financial experts warn Ghana may not get a dime from the IMF if it does not take necessary and sufficient steps in restructuring its debt, which is currently projected by the World Bank to hit 104% of GDP ending December 2022.
IMF would only lend if they are sure that a country's debt is sustainable. And they have a statement on their website, and it says that for those countries that have unsustainable debt, the IMF is precluded from lending.
We have more as the finance minister leads negotiation team to the U.S. to fast-track its negotiation with the IMF before the 2023 budget is read next month. However, the minority insists it is simply not feasible. Also, floodwaters may be receding, but the woes of residents of Wager and its environs deepening as power supply remains cut as a safety measure.
It's a very fluid situation, so we are in constant touch with NADMO and other officials on the ground, and so we continuously do assessments. If you realize that there's any area that we can restore supply and to be safe enough, we do so. As and when it's safe, we shall be restoring supply to the various communities.
We hear from the ECG.
And in business, threats to growth and inflation rate challenges forces the Bank of Ghana to increase the policy rate significantly to 24%.
And in sports, the Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, Mark Addo, has described as unfair criticism meted out to head coach Otto Addo follow the Black Stars friendly against Brazil and Nicaragua.
And later. Lovers hail Black Sheriff's maiden album, The Villain I Never Was. Will bring you reactions of that. That's and more here on Newsnight with me, Emefa Apao. Please join me with your thoughts and comments. It's via WhatsApp 05511119997. Also on all our social media platforms. Many thanks for your company. And tonight, local businesses and importers are predicting a huge shortfall in the volume of goods that will be imported into the country in the coming weeks, and possibly folding up of shops across the country. It comes on the back of reports by the Bank of Ghana that it wasn't able to meet the dollar demand of businesses in excess of $75 million, its latest auction. Now, this is compared with $82.75 million recorded a month past. According to the result of the sale of dollars through the Forex forward rate auction to dealers, the Bank of Ghana was only able to supply $25 million to the dealers, largely the banks. Speaking to Joy News, President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, said this scarcity of dollars will only worsen the plight of local businesses because some members are defaulting in payment of commitments to foreign partners.
The problem now is the rate. So it means that you have to raise a lot more cedis to be able to buy just so little of the dollar. And it means also that your ability to buy is curtailed. Otherwise, if you have the amount, you can be able to get the dollar to buy. But then, because the quantum or the value has reduced, it means that if even you raise a lot more cedis, you are going to buy just a little of the dollar. That's why we do not see the actual effect. Otherwise, if the value of the cedi was to be big, it means that the dollar would have been so scared for us to buy. But the scarcity of it means that we cannot also buy the volumes that we used to buy, because it has raised the amount that we need to buy just a few of these. So we are buying just a few that we have here. We are able to buy it at a large expense. It means that we have to cough in a lot more of the cities, and our capitals are depleting by the day.
What are your fears?
My worst fears is that most businesses are going to collapse, and that's why you don't need a mathematician, magician, or a scientist to come and prove you, because it means that most of the shops are going to be closing eventually, or importation is going to be curtailed to the barest minimum, and then in our inability to service our foreign debt.
Well, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Awingobit, fears the inability of the central bank to meet the dollar requirement of the market would trigger a surge in trading of dollars on the black market.
We know that is going to culminate to black market coming up with another horrible crisis of dollar. And so that means that we, in due time, we are going to be buying dollars more than the 10 series, or even the 11 series that was even anticipated by financial analysts and economists. So if care is not taken, $1 will go for 12 series in the next 2 to 3 weeks to come, because Bank of Ghana could not meet its own promises. And that is going to lead into the price of goods more higher than we can afford, which means that if you have a quest to consume foreign products or even to buy fuel, you are going to pay higher price. But mind you, what is the economic status of Ghanaians? What is the financial status of Ghanaians workers? That is where we are all going to put ourselves. So we are all in a doom situation at this moment in time.
Well, that's the situation for the Importers and Exporters Association also. That's Samson Awingobit. We know that today the policy rate was increased to 24.5%. That's a 250 basis point, the highest policy rate since 2017, meaning it will become more expensive to borrow. But this is something we'll be delving deeper into. But we've heard the traders and also the importers and exporters on the impact of these dollar trading for them and the impact on their businesses. Let's check on the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. Dr. Patrick Kweku-Ofori is the CEO for the Chamber. Thankfully, he joins us on the line. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight, sir. So the concern for us is what the impacts of this surge in this trading will have on your business, especially the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. Tell us about the situation there.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity, and good evening to your listeners. I think definitely the dollar situation is of concern to everybody who is involved in imports, and especially for some of us who are importing very essential commodities like the refined products, which invariably has a consequence on inflation and the nation's ability to even move. Because nurses, doctors, teachers, and maybe your good self would require a diesel or a petroleum product to move. In other cases, you may need LPG to maybe fire your gas cookers and other things. So we all are aware of the situation, and we also appreciate the concerns that and the difficulty that the Bank of Ghana also finds itself in. I would say the BDCs have been a bit fortunate because based on our engagement and our deliberation with the BOG, recently we are being supplied 30% of our demand, but now I think we've moved close to about 40 to 50% of our monthly demand. And the recent publications that they've also been able to allocate about $420 million to us to help us up to the end of the year to ensure that we may not necessarily encounter potential shortage of refined products in country. But on the flip side of it, the danger that we also pose is the banking the supervision role, and then the credit limits of the banks, which, because of the rate that the CD has depreciated. So if, let's say, I'm a BDC A or B, that I had a credit limit of, let's say, 8 million Ghana, that previously could have given me about $1.2 million. Now, the same $8 million Ghana cedis have been strained to, let's say, 6 or so. That affect the volume and the quantity of products that I could have that credit limit to bring in. But I know with the constant deliberation, we could also see with the bank, the Association of Bankers, and a key industry players to have that conversation with government so that they can also do something about that. But definitely the forest issue is critical to our members, but we are also seeking how best we can also help the government.
Well, good to know that because of your essential commodity that you provide, there's a special dispensation that you have with the Bank of Ghana. But $420 million to the end of year, is it enough for all your members to be able to meet the supply?
Certainly not. Certainly not. But, you know, in the midst of a dying situation whereby there is none, and if we compare our situation with the other chambers and other industry players that you just spoken to, in the midst of the scarcity level of forest in the country, having access to some give us a bit of a leverage to keep our business going. But what we know and we're hoping for is that as the government mobilize other opportunities and other forests that comes in, we could have maybe a bigger chance to also ensure that we keep the constant flow going on. Because you look at the data that we purchase from the black market, like you say, whereas the last auction, Bank of Ghana gave it to us around 10.1 something. We're in the market buying it almost 11, which automatically will affect the pump pricing, because every businessman will want to factor in that as a potential cost element within the price builder.
Well, but this particular amount that you talk about, well, you admit that is certainly not enough for you and your members. But then I would want to find out how we are managing such that you and I will not start to feel the impact of the shortfall.
The impact of the shortfall, because we want to keep our business going. So definitely we'll try and push ourselves to get it going. But it also depends on the limits to which some of our members can go. So if you check the trading data, some of them have been very slow because they know that if they keep on with the pace with which the city is going, they also stand the potential of eroding their capital. So some of them are playing wait and see approach to ensure that they are. But the fortunate thing is that you have some of the big players who have already made those commitments and have locked in the products already. And they've also sold products that they have cities sitting in their bank account that they can't get the forest. So that is a bit of challenge that we are all trying to find a way around it. But definitely it's not an easy period to find ourselves in, and we're just hoping that something drastic or efficient could come into play to ensure that we can keep everybody happy.
Well, the fear that the low demand or the inability of the central bank to meet all the dollar demands or requirements will, trigger a surge of trading on the black market. That's really the concern. I don't know. You mentioned that you are having engagements with the Bankers Association, amongst others. Really, I'm sure there's a role that you're playing, knowing that you'll be concerned about this trigger on the black market of this because of the shortfall in supply from the central bank.
Yes, we already go there because the delta that the Bank of Ghana is unable to provide for us, and the commercial banks are also not able to provide for us. It definitely pushes us there, which invariably keep putting a lot of pressure on the dollar, and that will force it to go up like the basis of normal demand and supply. That pushes commodities go up since there is more people chasing for that particular product. So it's of issue, but it's not something that is within our control or our purview, because most of our members would want the business to go on. So if Bank of Ghana, through other regulatory agencies or the agencies involved, could find a way of mopping up those dollars that find themselves in there into the main banking or the financial sector, I think we can all trade confidently. We can put whatever pressure and then blame everybody. But I think at the individual level, if you are going out there to change your forest, you want to go to the black market to get a higher rate. Mm-hmm. So we all have somehow contributed in keeping the black market going. So if we all want to use, let's say, the financial institutions, the banks, and the appropriate quarters, it gives the regulatory bodies and it gives those of us who are also chasing for the dollars to go to those financial institutions that are regulated, that help us to control the arbitrariness of the price changes that basically most of the players are now struggling to help stabilize.
But it's worrying that we're hearing businesses also, resorting to the black market for dollars. What will be the solution? A reduction in the amount from the central bank? Will that be the way to go? Such reduction that we all stop going to
from the central bank in what sense?
In terms of the rates that is given to businesses, such that we would all not go to the black market to resort to get dollars.
I think they have formulas or models that they use in determining that. Mm-hmm. But when I have a maturing LC, or I know my credit line is in danger and then my reputation and other things are at stake, mm-hmm. I will pay for whatever in order to keep my business going, and then also to keep my bankers or the IoTs that are supplying the products to me confident that I'm able to play up in the business or in the space.
Well, Dr. Aboagye, we are grateful for your time. That's Dr. Patrick Kwekufori, I beg your pardon. There, he's the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors there, speaking to us on the situation. We've been hearing from the Importers and Exporters Association also, for them, the inability of the central bank to meet the dollar requirement of the market will definitely trigger a surge in trading of dollars in the black market. And you heard the confirmation there. It appears that that's what the situation is. But we'll stay a while longer on the economy, and after almost 5 months of declaring intentions to opt for an IMF bailout, it's still unclear if Ghana will get the green light to start an IMF program before the 2023 budget is read in November this year. So as the IMF prepared to wrap up their 2 weeks debt sustainability analysis trip to Ghana, experts are warning that our unsustainable debt levels may preclude the IMF from approving the much needed $3 billion bailout. Speaking on PM Express Wednesday night, Associate Professor with the University of Ghana Economics Department, Professor Eric Osei-Sibi, said a debt sustainability analysis will be a key determinant in getting an IMF program.
An IMF program you always will look at your debt stock and how sustainable that is before they advance any or they enter into any agreement with you. So once what is actually holding on to the agreeing on any numbers is because of this DSA that is still not out yet. But once that is out and the numbers are clear, whatever agreement that they will enter into will be informed by that, right? And so they already have factored that into the analysis that they will not reach any agreement yet until the DSA is out and the numbers are clear. That would inform how government is going to respond, what is the measures government going to take to make sure that the debt levels are sustainable before any program will be entered into at the end of the day.
Meanwhile, policy risk analyst Dr. Theo Champon stressed that Ghana will not get a penny from the IMF without doing some serious work on our debt.
We do have the IMF in town now, which is doing the debt sustainability analysis, and that's going to feed into the program design numbers, because they would include a number of the things that typically would not include in our debt accounting treatment, including those off-balance sheet transactions, the exposure on the state-owned enterprises. The IMF would only lend if they are sure that a country's debt is sustainable. And they have a statement on their website, which I'd like to quote here again. And it says that, quote, for those countries that have unsustainable debt, the IMF is precluded from lending unless the member takes steps to restore debt sustainability, which includes debt restructuring.
Meanwhile, minority spokesperson on finance, Dr. Atruforson, says World Bank's 104% debt to GDP projection by end of year shows government is clearly hiding debts to conceal the actual state of Ghana's indebtedness.
If the government had decided to correct their attitude of hiding public debt, wouldn't have gotten to where we are getting to. If the government had stopped their attitude of always creating SPVs for the purposes of hiding public debt, even though it is the central government that is actually having the obligation of servicing those debts, certainly wouldn't have gotten to where we are. One important point we need to understand is that there's difference between the debt stock itself and the debt sustainability analysis. While the debt stock talks about the actual debt you owe, the DSA deals with going forward, including policies that you will implement in the medium term. So the two are different. It is a fact that the Sino-Hydro is a public debt. They decided to exclude it. Today, Ghana's debt to obligation to Sino-Hydro is due next year, June. Where's the bauxite?
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, we know, will lead a team of Ghanaian negotiators to IMF headquarters in Washington for 2 weeks in a bid to fast-track the process and get a deal before the 2023 budget is presented. He's been speaking to the media after paying a visit to the Long Room at the Tema Port in the Greater Accra region.
The mission will close its work in Ghana on Friday for this 2-week one. We will go to Washington with them, continue for another 2 weeks of discussions, and I think we are moving in the right direction. Very
and are we done with the DSA?
No, the DSA still continues. As you know, that's a critical component of the decisions as to then what you do with your structural reforms and debt operations and financing gap.
That's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta there. Well, Martin Amidu, you'll recall, the former special prosecutor, in his latest epistle has described Ghana's quest to seek an IMF bailout as a smokescreen by government to ram austerity budget down the throat of Ghanaians in 2023. My colleague Samuel Kojo Brace has a copy of that epistle. He joins me in studio for a brief chat on it. So, Kojo, what has he been saying about the e-levy to start with?
Well, he says that in November 2021 budget for the year 2022, this government rammed down the throat of Ghanaians the e-levy that went to Parliament without any prior consultation with the generality of the people and stakeholders. It is an understatement to say that a majority of Ghanaians were against the e-levy, but with arrogance and what he calls impunity, the government corruptly bought its way with the political elite to approve and enact the e-levy into law. He says the consequent reaction from Ghanaians is there for all to see how successful a reception the policy received and it's receiving. And he goes ahead to say that Dr. Forson is one person who fought tenaciously against the imposition of the draconian e-levy on Ghanaians and was immediately targeted for his unbending views when he could have sold his conscience like some of his other colleagues did. Now, he says that the e-levy, for example, is reviewed and targeted at ensuring that a lot of Ghanaians pay the levy, even under the present unbearable economic mess the president has created for the ordinary person in the street. And what he says is that, he says, listen to the angels from this government who are talking about indiscipline, corruption, and leakages when they say in relation to the e-levy and the ongoing IMF negotiations that's ongoing.
Interesting. Well, he's been commenting also on our mineral resources. What exactly is he saying on that?
Some interesting point that he's made there, that he says, as usual with the development and emerging nations, the international community has stood by while the natural resources of this country have been mismanaged by this government for the benefit of its international collaborators and facilitators. The new normal is for the looted resources of this nation to be secreted away in offshore companies in the British bailiwick of Jersey, the British overseas territories of the Cayman Islands, the British overseas territories of the Virgin Islands, and the like, to the knowledge of their foreign collaborators without any eyebrow raised. The posture of the president and his family and friends when it comes to mismanaging the wealth of this nation for and with their foreign collaborators reminds one of what Greg Murray, a former Deputy British High Commissioner to Ghana, wrote about the IMF on 27 June 2015 in an article, IMF and US said to ruin Ghana. He said, and I quote, "Indeed, in 30 years close experience, the net result of all IMF activities in Africa is to channel economic resources to Westerners and not to ordinary Western people, but to the wealthiest corporations and especially to Western bankers."
Thank you very much, Samuel Kojo-Bruce, and he will be on Joy News Prime at the top of the hour 7. You want to catch him on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break here on Newsnight. We're right back.
Charlie, some things can be very painful, like hitting your toe against the corner of a table. Or a failed cash transaction because of insufficient funds. But that's where Vodafone Cash Overdraft will help you shop life regardless. Vodafone Cash Overdraft is the latest innovation that adds to your Vodafone Cash wallet when your balance is not enough to pay for your Vodafone transactions. Just dial *110#, select option 5 to opt in. Now, let's say you won't buy 50 cedis monthly data where you get only 30 cedis for your Vodafone Cash wallet. You will get a notification saying you can access additional funds to complete your transaction. You accept the offer, done. Overdraft. Oh, say yeah.
Oh, yeah. The new Vodafone Cash Overdraft service allows you to access additional funds to complete your Vodafone Cash transaction. Be it paying for your broadband subscription, buying airtime or mobile data, or even sending money. Terms and conditions apply.
Vodafone.
The FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 is here. Excitement is in the air. You've been waiting for this, and now it's time to experience it. You could win a trip to the FIFA World Cup, plus other amazing prizes when you get and use your EcoBank Visa card. Get ready. Football lives here, wherever you are. T's and C's apply. Visit www.ecobank.com/Visa World Cup for more.
Faces, places, the clock the whole world knows. The streets where history happens. Buses with a view, hills in every shade of green. To catch up with faraway friends. The music's better up north. Search a lock for monsters. Rediscover adventure. Whatever the purpose of your visit, make yours an original. With great fares from Accra to London and beyond on British Airways. Book now at ba.com.
Sometimes in life, things may not go well as planned, but when the unexpected happens, it doesn't have to destabilize you. That is why you must make your fallback solid. Yes, make it Imperial with insurance cover from Imperial General Assurance. We have a wide range of insurance products such as motor, engineering, marine, bonds, accident, and fire insurance. Talk to us today about all your insurance needs and we will give you that solid protection. We have it all covered. Call us on 0577 667 436 to 8 or visit our website at imperialgeneral.com. Imperial General Assurance. Solid protection.
You're still listening to News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM. And in a bit, we'll bring you business plus some of your comments that you've been sending in via WhatsApp on 055-1111-997. But let's take a quick update on happenings in the Wager and its environs. And we know that there may be some temporary relief for residents. That's the Gas South municipality. And we've been displaced by floods for the past 3 days because the flood waters have begun receding. But the woes may be further deepened because power supply remains cut to the area. The Electricity Company of Ghana is unsure when that power will be restored. Even though the company is losing revenue, safeguarding of life and property remains paramount. That's according to the communications officer of the Accra West ECG, Fred Bambil Johnson.
Since Tuesday when the floods came in, what we've had to do as a company is that we've curtailed power supply to some affected communities to make sure that life and properties are safeguarded. Now, we have done this knowing that indeed once people are not using the power, it means that we are losing some revenue. But at this point in time, what is more paramount to us is to make sure that life and property are safe. And also, we have some situations where some of our ground-mounted transformers are in flooded areas. So it's difficult to even pull power from these transformers to various communities which were being set from it.
I know you are trying to safeguard life and property, though, but I don't know if you have an idea how much exactly ECG is losing in terms of revenue over the past few days.
Well, once customers are not using power, or once we are not supplying the power for customers to use, it means that we are losing revenue. But at this point in time, we are not speaking numbers because our main objective now is to ensure that when it is safe, we restore supply to our customers. So probably when all this is over, we'll be able to sit and quantify the losses. But like I said, we have transformers which are in waterlogged areas, and so we need to do technical assessments later.
Well, the National Disaster Management Organization says the water, we know, is receding and is likely to be safe for residents to return home later today. But NADMO is also warning of more trouble for the people as Ghana Water continues spillage of the Wager Dam. Well, Maxwell Agbagba paints a picture of how lifetime investments and businesses have been lost to the floods.
Sounds of the ferocious gushing water from upstream ready to sweep away anything and anyone in its path. A white truck forces its way through the current. Patricia is seated at the front seat with her daughter. The little she was able to salvage is in the bed of the truck. She was living a good life outside Ghana, but decided to return and start her own business. But disaster struck, and now she has lost everything.
All my goods is full. My household, everything is full. With a
supermarket there.
Yeah.
And everything has been destroyed.
Everything has been destroyed. So, what can we do? I mean, it looks like there's something they should have prevented, but they didn't do it. I mean, how could this be happening like this? I mean, I don't know. I just moved to Ghana. Honestly, I just moved to Ghana like a year ago, but this doesn't look promising. It doesn't look promising.
Yes. We are angry. Every day you pass.
About 300 meters away, I've met 10-year-old Tobin and his mother wading through the flood water. He did not go to school on Tuesday and Wednesday, as all schools within the affected areas remain closed, with parents advised not to allow their children outside. Opposite Tobin's residence is the home of Kwamina Mensah. He has lost everything.
Yeah, everything is damaged. So that is our problem. Even the document itself has been damaged. That is the best thing for now. That was the mysterious thing that is happening here now. Yeah. The documents, everything gone. Yeah.
Residents have been without power for the past 48 hours. With some transformers now sitting in water, it does not appear power will be restored anytime soon. Here at the Brooksville Hotel, I've met the manager, Joshua Lai and Duke Aluti, who has been displaced by the flood. The manager tells me some persons spent the night at his facility in chairs, some of them on the bare floor, as the facility has been fully booked.
For yesterday night, we had to turn down more than 20 people. But yesterday was outrageous. People coming in, running in. I think some people even at the point slept here. Yes, some slept outside because there were no.
They slept like just right here.
Yeah, some they sat in a chair. I mean, they come in the name of I'll buy a drink.
Duke, who has been displaced by the flood, says he's hoping for the best.
I had to leave my vehicle at home because it was pointless driving it out. If you drive it out, I saw some vehicles stuck in there. Engine.
So you couldn't go to work today?
No chance. Literally displaced. Quite expensive being at the hotel too.
Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Agbagba.
Well, so that's the situation as Maxwell Agbagba reported. But let's get a quick update from NADMO on the situation since we are following this issue through and through. And the NADMO Director of Inspectorate, Richard Amoyate, joins us on the line. Mr. Ayate, good evening and thank you very much for the work that you're doing on the ground. What's the situation this evening, you'd say?
Thank you, and good evening to all your listeners. Yeah, thankfully the waters in the communities have receded. And so we expect that life will get to normal within the next few days. Well, those who were displaced, relief has started. They have started providing relief, basically food for people who were displaced. Because most of them who were not actually displaced from their homes, but some of the people were even kept in their homes. And they were safer in their homes than venturing into the streets. So one of the key areas that people need support is food. And then we have started with that in the community.
You mean because some of them we spoke to were raising concerns about lack of food amongst others. So what you're saying is that now they don't have to worry about food. NADMO is providing that?
Yeah. Even from yesterday, wet ration was served in the communities. Kinky, rice was served in the communities. Now, if for one or two reasons someone didn't get them, it's unfortunate. But we started with wet ration yesterday. Today, rice is going out. So we are trying to support with food.
Okay, but we know that the spillage continues. What's the situation with that? Do we have any measures in place such that in the coming days we will not, continue to witness what we've seen over?
The only way the spillage can be stopped is when inflows into the dam reduce. There's a lot of water going into the dam, and the dam needs protection. So the spilling is a control measure to safeguard the integrity of the dam. The estuary has been opened and widened, and so now the water is flowing freely into the sea. That is what has contributed to the easing of the flood waters in the communities. So we don't expect, because all the flood waters is flowing down into the ocean now, so we expect the communities to be dry in the next few days.
Mr. Amoyate, thank you very much for your time. That's Richard Amoyate, he's NADMO Director of Inspectorate, joining us with the latest update on the situation. Let's do business now. George Riafe is here. Hello, George.
Hi, MFA. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, George. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What's in business?
Well, MFA, coming up in business, threats to growth and inflation rate actually force the Bank of Ghana to increase the policy rate by some significant margin to 24%. Meanwhile, we'll hear from the governor of the Bank of Ghana on the state of the economy as well as the fiscal situation. Electricity Company of Ghana dismisses claims of contracting Haptel to manage its online program for purchasing power. We could be getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Ghana Pay and Allianz Life.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh page and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Allianz Insurance since 1890. At Allianz Life Ghana, we have a wide range of life insurance packages to suit all pockets, from individuals, groups, associations, and businesses. We cover your employees, your funerals, pensions, children's education, and your future. Call us on 0302 267 892 or visit our website www.allianz-gh.com for more inquiries. Allianz Life, we secure your future.
Alande. Ghana Pay Alande.
Hey, finally! Ghana Pay Alande.
Do more your way on Ghana Pay. Send and receive money at 0 transaction fees. Pay bills, buy airtime and data. Transfer money in and out of your bank account and so much more with Ghana Pay. Dial *707# to register for Ghana Pay or download the Ghana Pay app from the Play Store or App Store. Alande. Ghana Pay Alande. Ghana Pay. Your money, your way.
This service is powered by Gibbs.
Joy 99.7 FM.
And you're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, threats to growth and inflation rate challenge forced the Bank of Ghana to increase its policy rate by some significant margin. It upped its key lending rate by 2.5% to 24.5%. There is more in this Business Desk report. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, noted that with the current threats to the economy, the committee was left with no other option than to increase the rate by this significant margin.
But under the circumstances, until we agree on the program with the fund, right, we have to contain the situation.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana also rejected arguments that it had delayed in taking the necessary measures to control inflation.
If you would recollect, we started this policy tightening as far back as November 2021. It wasn't in January when we got locked out of the market that the MPC started tightening rates.
On issues about the current fiscal position, this is what the governor had to say.
Financing of the budget so far has predominantly been from the banking sector, with the central bank absorbing a larger share. Persistent and covered auction and portfolio reversals by non-resident investors continue to pose risks to the financing of the budget.
Now, despite the recent concerns about the banking sector, Dr. Ernest Addison revealed that the industry data showed a strong banking sector.
Profit before tax for banks stood at 6.1 billion Ghana cedis in August 2022, representing an annual growth of 25.2% compared to 27.4% in the previous year.
Governor also disclosed the stock of gross international reserves declined to 6.6 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 2 months of import cover for goods and services ending September this year. Meanwhile, the 24.5% rate hike is the highest in 5 years. The last time we witnessed such rate hike was in May 2017. So was this policy rate hike in the right direction? Let's hear the thoughts of economist Courage Mate.
After the committee decided to defer the announcement of the decision, and just yesterday's release by the World Bank in its Africa Pulse report, where they appear to have also hinted that the central bank is behind the curve in terms of dealing with inflation, one would automatically expect that this decision would translate into another rate hike, and that is what we have seen. So overall, the decision to increase the policy rate isn't a surprise within the context of what has been happening this year.
Courage Mate is an economist with IC Securities. Still on issues about the policy rate. It appears the business community is not that excited by this move. Let's hear from Mark Bedu Abuaji. He is Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
The question that we keep asking is that what has been the effect of this increase in policy inflation? But we have also seen inflation also going up irrespective of the increase in policy. The effect is on businesses. Now, those who have facilities with the banks and the facility is on a variable interest rate, definitely there's going to be an increase in interest rate. And those who will be going for new facilities also will be prepared to pay more. Eventually, we are increasing the cost of production and the cost of doing business.
And Mark Bedu Abuaji is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, trying to tell us what this will mean. And the question many will be asking themselves, and so what? If you had closed an interest or a loan at a variable rate, it means that what has happened right now could impact that. The cost could be going up. If it was a fixed rate, maybe you might be a little bit immune from this challenge. But also going forward, the cost of credit in this country is expected to go up marginally based on this significant hike in the policy rate by the Bank of Ghana. And for those who be asking, in terms of our gross international reserves, is reduced to $6.6 billion ending September this year. Let's talk about PAR, because the managing director of the City Company of Ghana, Sama Mahama, has dismissed claims that the company has contracted mobile application firm Haptel to manage its online program for purchasing power. According to him, they are yet to sign any such agreement with the company. He has assured consumers that the challenges with its monitoring system has been resolved without any external hands. He has been speaking at a news conference.
ECG hasn't agreed any percentages with Haptel. ECG said, you say you can do something. Prove your concept. If your concept works, we agree to it. Then we see how we can talk about it. If your concept doesn't work, you step aside and move away. So ECG has a proof of concept understanding with Haptel. It is quite sad that in this day where we have the right to information bill, where you can get access to information, when you hear gossip, you choose to run with gossip. My doors are always open. ECG will not attempt until there must be proof of that said concept. Again, I must repeat, there is no contract with Haptel. It's at a proof of concept stage.
Sama Mahama is the managing director of Electricity Company of Ghana. Two other stories from the chief executive of Prudential Life Insurance Ghana, Dr. Hazel Bernard Amua, has actually underscored the need for financial education among children. He was speaking at the premiere of the Cha-Ching, the financial literally cartoon created by Prudence Foundation. Let's get more details on what she's actually been talking about.
So I think we've had a very successful program here at the Silverbirds, premiering Cha-Ching. The whole purpose of Cha-Ching really is to help, create a mindset in terms of behavior amongst our children. So the question is, why children? So African children, like any other child across the world, needs to understand the use of money for poverty alleviation, for poverty prevention. So once we understand how to earn money well, to save money, to spend wisely, and to donate to charitable causes like the Prudence Foundation, then we can help alleviate poverty in Ghana, in Africa, and across the globe. So for every African child, this is a must-have in terms of financial literacy and financial responsibility.
Dr. Hazel Amua is the Chief Executive of Prudential Life Insurance Ghana. And Emefa, that's all for business. And join us at 9 p.m. on PM Express for something interesting. Cooking on the economy, IMF policy rates, and what our business is also saying, Emefa.
Okay, we're tuning in. It's at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel, DSTV 421, GoTV 144. Also on all our social media platforms. George Riafe will be hosting you tonight. We'll go for sports. Some of your messages, though. Shem Mixing Yabwa says listening to both NPP and NDC on Galamsey paints a very vivid picture. So clear for every Ghanaian to see. These two don't have the country at heart. God's own Ghana deserves better than NPP and NDC, he says. And it's hashtag no to Galamsey. The conversation continues on all our social media platforms. You want to catch it. And Kofi Protocol says, so what has this president done right since 7th January 2017? Did he say he doesn't know those involved in Galamsey? Kofi Protocol message there. And this one says, good evening, and where is Dr. Baumia? Before CD is depreciating, definitely in our beloved country, Ghanaians have disappointed. Okay, so that's Sena's message also. And we have another one from Nane Kuyamwa Boating, and he says Sami Jemfieni's NDC will not provide credible alternative to tackle Galamsey except propaganda. That's Nane Kuyamwa Boating's message. And okay, some messages. Okay, so this one's talking about the World Cup slot. Is talking about sports. They're coming up shortly with details of that. And we have this one from Francis says, MFA, the finance minister borrowed Ghana to where we are today. So how do you guarantee that same person to get a deal with IMF in crisis? So that's some of your messages that you've sent in so far. But let's do some more stories before we bring in the sports team. And 11 months ago, a toll booth worker, Evelyn Gadri, lost her job. Although government has failed to honor promise of reassigning to perform other duties, she started hawking in the street to survive. Besides dangerously meandering through traffic to sell her wares, the biggest challenge she faces is access to transportation. She told Joy News Features editor Jojo Kobina that a driver of Ayalolo Metro Mass denied her access to board the bus because of her disability.
Evelyn Gadri lost her job when the government of Ghana discontinued the operation of road tolls in November 2021. Although the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, stated that road toll workers will be reassigned, that promise has yet to be fulfilled 11 months later.
The toll collection personnel will be reassigned. The expected impact on productivity and reduce environmental pollution will more than offset the revenue foregone.
Evelyn has been dangerously weaving through traffic in her wheelchair, hawking to make ends meet. Evelyn exudes positive energy and wears a smile to captivate and disarm her customers. When I ask her how she commutes from Pokwase to Achimota every day to sell, her smile quickly fades.
I
am really pained. The Metro Mass driver disrespected me because of my disability. The driver even threw my things out.
She says getting access to transportation is always a major challenge.
Getting access to Trotro is difficult. The driver has no time to park my wheelchair.
She vividly describes how the driver of the Ayalolo bus denied her access.
The other time, the Metro Mass driver refused to drop me at Achimota Melcom bus stop. He took me all the way to Achimota station, so I argued with him. I asked him if he expects me to carry my wheelchair all the way to that location. He said he regretted allowing me on board and that we, the people with disabilities, are troublesome. The next time I wanted to board, he refused.
Evelyn would like Metro Mass officials to line up drivers so she can identify the driver who discriminated against her. Article 4 of Ghana's PWD Act 715 prohibits all forms of discrimination against persons with disabilities. But Evelyn says that is only on paper. She wants authorities to look into the matter and punish the driver who denied her access on board the Alolo bus. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
And it's time for sports. Musbao has the very latest in studio. What's up?
MFA World head coach of the Black Stars, Otuado, came under a lot of criticism after Black Stars pre-World Cup friendlies against Brazil and Nicaragua. Many Ghanaians were not particularly impressed with the performance of his team after the two games and have questioned if he is the right man to lead the national team to the Mundial. However, a vice president of the Ghana Football Association and management committee chairman of the Black Stars, Mark Addo, says the criticism meted out to Otuado are unfair.
I don't listen to those noise. The reason being that you can't just judge people on one game or two games. I mean, like I said to you, the team, it's a restructuring in terms of, you know, the way they want to play with a lot of new players coming in and all that. So you can't just look at one game. Look, granted, we had a bad. And the coach admitted to some of, and to me, it's a mark of a great leadership when you admit to your fault. And he said it in public that he may have had a few issues, but that's fine. But then, if you look at the second half of the game, also you see how strong we put. For almost 20 minutes, we controlled the game, which also tells you that, you know, when everything is right, we're going to give a good account of ourselves.
So that's Mark Addo, GFA Vice President there, MFR. But tonight on Prime Sports, we'll be previewing the Women's Premier League. That will start tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have quite a lot of discussion about the league coming up this weekend.
I'm rooting for Berry Ladies.
Yeah.
Well, on Tech Thursday today, some students at the Mechanical Engineering Department of the KNUST have developed a relatively cost-effective digital instrument for measuring temperature of the surroundings and light energy from the sun. The instrument is designed to ease the daunting and expensive task of students accessing readily available digital instruments for such purpose. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright-Quick, who interacted with the students. Here's his report.
Andy Abekuse explains the motive for the instrument.
We realize that in Ghana, it's a challenge for students in tertiary and secondary institutions to have access to instruments that is able to measure parameters such as solar irradiance, temperature, humidity, and airflow.
The user-friendly and multimetric prototype instrument was developed employing a solar cell and other locally acquired components.
The DH11 senses the ambient temperature and the PV cell senses the solar irradiance. These signals are in the form of analog, and they are being converted from analog to digital by the help of microcontrollers. So these digital signals now serve as the output in the form of temperature readings in degrees Celsius and irradiance readings in watts per meter squared.
One may like to know what's the difference between our instruments and the already existing ones. For our instrument, it's cost effective, it's easy to operate, it's resistant to corrosion, and it's accessible. And the accuracy of the temperature sensor is plus or minus 2 degrees, and the accuracy of the solar irradiance sensor is 20 watts per meter squared.
When fully developed and commercialized, this device will be locally available and accessible at a relatively lower cost to universities, high schools, and STEM schools for scientific study and capacity development.
And that's Emmanuel Bright-Quick with report. Time for our Drive Safe campaign.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
Well, a road safety advocate wants the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service to strictly enforce regulations to ensure riders are licensed before using public thoroughfare. He also wants the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority to biometrically register riders to their motorcycles. According to Nana Anwame here, who is the Executive Director of Road Safety Advocate, this approach will help track recalcitrant riders and ensure discipline on the road.
In some parts of our country, riding a motorcycle is concomitant to riding a donkey. So therefore, no proficient training and rider's license is sought to ride a motorcycle. Whereas the Road Traffic Act and its regulations expressively states that it is a privilege, not a right, to drive or ride a motorized vehicle on our public thoroughfare. One must have a certified driver license to do so. Motorcycle in other jurisdictions, such as UK and the US, is deemed as a lethal weapon that is harmful to the
Here with his hit song, The First Sermon, and hasn't looked back since. Rapper and composer Mohammed Ismail Sharif, popularly known as Black Sherif, finally releases debut album, The Villain I Never Was Today, and the 14-track body of work discusses extensively his present mental state and the circumstances he's dealing with. Songs like Soja, Kweku the Traveler, the Second Sermon remix, which were already available, give the album's official release some impetus. Here's a teaser of some of the songs on the album. Is personality profile. Guess who we are hosting tonight? Richard Mofe Damijo, RMD, is a Nigerian actor, award-winning actor by all standards. You want to stay for that conversation with Lexis Bale. I'll leave you in the safe hands of Black Sherif.